Welcome to the Genealogy Happy Hour, a place where new family historians can learn to document their family histories and celebrate their new discoveries. I'm Amy.
And I'm Penny, and we're here to help you discover your family tree from the beginning.
Welcome to episode 102. Today, we're going to be reviewing and talking about rules and guidelines to keep our research focused and successful. These are the golden rule and some other rules that really help us. If we keep them in mind, will keep us successful in our research. But first, Penny and I have successfully dodged or experienced or made it through not one but two hurricanes.
I only made it through one, though. I was out of town for the first one when Helene came through, but we did successfully get through Milton.
Hurricane Milton, yes, we did.
Which was a Cat 3, and we both decided that if a Cat 4 ever comes in,
we're leaving.
Yeah. We're leaving. Cat 3 was about the limit.
I've lived in Florida for a long time, over 35 years, and this was the first hurricane that I was really scared about.
Yeah.
So, it was too much. It was literally very nerve-wracking.
The winds were fierce, but I will say, it's nice it's nice that it's a hurricane that you can prep for, that you have days in advance. We
have some advance.
So I went to the grocery store, stocked up on wine, and I made sure I got red wine because we might lose power.
That's true.
And I'm not drinking warm white.
Right, no. You ruined the white.
No. So I have my priorities during a hurricane.
But we were both very fortunate that all of our families are fine. We have no property damage because we know that there are so many people in our community right now that are suffering. And they're going to be suffering for a long time. So I still don't have power back at my home, and I probably won't until the end of next week. But I'm not going to complain.
Yeah. So. Yeah, but others have it way worse, for sure. Okay, so we've got a wine. This was one that I popped open right before the hurricane hit, and it is it's a white. So it's made by James Sauvignon Blanc, and their website says, and I will quote the first part of it, "This refreshing Sauvignon Blanc I crafted can't even read my own handwriting, has bright notes of lemons, grapefruits, and pineapple." And it is really good. It was a good one and an easy drink. It says to eat with scallops and it was a nice salad, but I was just drinking it. So
that's good too.
It's good that way as well. So that's made by James Sauvignon Blanc.
Nice. I'm gonna have to try that. Today's episode is sponsored by newspapers.com. Break down genealogy brick walls with a subscription to the largest online newspaper archive. Did you know newspapers.com has over 1 billion pages of digitized newspapers dating back to 1690? Their growing collection includes papers from the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and beyond. Discover birth and marriage announcements, obituaries, and everyday stories about your ancestors in seconds. Newspapers.com can help you fill in the gaps between vital records and reveal details about your ancestors' lives that you can't find anywhere else. Their easy-to-use search feature lets you filter your results by date, location, specific paper, or more. When you find something interesting, newspapers.com makes it a snap to share it with family and friends. You can even save it directly to your ancestry tree. Come explore 1 billion pages and make infinite discoveries today on newspapers.com. Use promo code HAPPYHOUR for a 20% discount on your subscription. What's ancestry without stories? A book to keep them in. A kin gathers what you may know and researches what you may not know about your family history to weave together illustrative stories and engaging imagery for your one-of-a-kind ancestry book. From research summaries to biographical shorts, lineage collections, and more, Akin offers an assortment of book design options to suit your style. Created using combined design and genealogy expertise and premier printing methods, an Akin book elegantly commemorates your and your family's authentic history. Schedule your free consultation at akin.house and create your book of a lifetime.
Okay, Amy, today we're going over the golden rule of genealogy and some other rules that we try to follow to help us stay focused and have our going on a direct line and not, going squirrel, off in every direction.
Yeah.
And I know we've been podcasting for a while, and we've got some listeners. Some of you have been with us since the beginning, and we were always getting new listeners all the time. And it is focused on beginning genealogy. We don't do any deep dive, intricate things. It's mostly like, how do you do this, and where are places to go and look and find your information. So, but we think this is a topic that everybody can get back and needs a little refresher.
Absolutely. No matter how seasoned you are in genealogy, it's very easy to start running, going down a rabbit hole here or there and forgetting what the rules are to help you stay focused and make sure that your research time is being productive. So the golden rule in genealogy is start with yourself and work backwards in time, adding one generation at a time. It's also known as working from what is known to what is unknown. But that can be applied no matter what generation you are in. You stay focused on that generation, documenting it, getting yourself a nice footing before you move on to the next generation back. So once you've recorded whatever's known about your immediate family, you should start branching one at a time, but remember to document it. I remember one of my mistakes was, I knew that my grandparents had always lived in Whitley County and Allen County, Indiana, and I just assumed that that's where they got married. So I did what I should do. I started with the known. The known was they always had lived in Allen County, but I was very shocked when I got a negative return from Allen County saying that there was no marriage recorded there from my grandparents. I said, oh, well, maybe they got married in Whitley County where my grandmother was from, but again, a negative return. I was starting with what I knew, but I was also making assumptions about my grandparents. I really wasn't documenting my grandparents. I just had them recorded in my genealogy family group sheet as being, married in Allen County. So come to find out, they got married in Michigan. They didn't even get married in Indiana, and they never lived in Michigan at all. So I finally found it, but I had to go farther afield than what I thought. So don't assume.
Don't assume, and I think that is a good a rule. We can't assume. You need to have several different documents, or we always say if you have an obituary and you don't have the death certificate, but you've got the obituary, that might not be right. Find a grave might not be right.
Right.
Is it even the right person? I've been working on an Anderson family, and I have an Anderson who married an Anderson. Her first name is Mary, so that's super unhelpful. And just trying to make sure you've got the right person, that I can't ever assume that whatever I'm looking at is the right person without several documents. So yes, don't assume.
Right. And if you have learned anything in listening to our podcast, it should be that you have to document every fact, every piece of data using exhaustive research.
Yes.
So don't just take stuff off of other people's trees. How many times have we all seen a tree where they have a child attached to two parents, and there's no way, based on the ages, that those could be the parents of that child.
Right.
But they have the same name. They have a similar name to the person that they were looking for. And again, that's because they're going from, they're not following the golden rule. They're taking two people and inserting a child in there that could never be that couple's child, even though they all have the same names.
Right.
So
right.
Document it.
Or they'll have parents. I see this a lot. They'll have the parents listed for the child and no sources for how they got those parents. Right. Especially if it's more recent, I might think, oh, okay, so they're well within their family. So but if it's farther back, like early 1800s, I'm like, how do you know that?
Right.
Where is your proof? And I usually will send a message to them saying, hey, I would love for you to share any documentation you have. These are the parents. Where did you get this information from? And I promise you, like 8 times out of 10, I'm going to get something back saying, oh, I got this from another family tree.
Right.
Did you ask them for documentation?
Right.
You know,
you see the same errors being repeated tree after tree after tree.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the golden rule can, like I said, it can be used. I neglected to use it for my grandparents. And once I did, I started documenting my grandparents, finding them in census records, city directories, the draft cards, the obituaries, like you said, Penny, the death certificates, and then my father's birth certificate, making sure that I did have them in the correct location, and then going farther afield to find the rest of those records, but grounding myself first. And that principle then carries forth generation after generation to, let's say, my 4th great grandparents. Again, I started locating them in the census records, land and deed records, if there's death records at that time period, and then certainly be able to find that marriage record for the grandmother's maiden name, my 4th great grandmother's maiden name. But then again, documenting it, creating that timeline, so that when you do find new documents, does that person fit? Does that date of birth fit within the timeline of the people I already know, I've already documented, yes or no? And I can then either include them or exclude them from the family.
I'm going to throw in something else too on that golden rule, where we're starting with what we know. And then I think it's very important, let's say, like I'm looking at this Mary Anderson, and I need to have a specific question. What am I trying to find out about her? Am I trying to find out her death date? Am I trying to find out, did she have 2 husbands? Who is the father of her first child? What am I trying? I have a lot of questions, obviously. But what is the one question? And trying to stay focused on that as well.
Absolutely. When you and I went to Virginia this summer, it was, especially when you're researching in a location where you have multiple family lines and branches that all have documents in that same location, it's just so hard to ignore that family because you need to stay focused on the question that you came to do the research on.
Yeah.
Other than that, then you're just collecting random documents, and then you have to analyze them afterwards, and then you may find that, oh, well, I still need to go back to get this, and this, because you didn't have that question. Correct. You went off.
I am guilty of that. I took a ton of pictures of documents, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go through those. I haven't yet, but I know they're there. But it's really hard. Right. It's really hard. Yeah. But you kind of have to almost make a little sign for yourself on the top of your desk. Stay focused. Yeah. Yes.
And I had to go back to the golden rule several times during that trip, because I wanted to go off on a tangent and say, well, let me see. Well, maybe I don't think this is possible. Maybe this is possible. But I, need to stay focused on what I had to go back to, what I know. What do I know? And then,
what do I need to fill in here?
Correct. Yeah. And then does this scenario fit? No, it doesn't. Does this scenario fit? Possibly. And then going back and analyzing over and over again the new documents that you have. So, to just keep yourself focused, because it's so easy, like you said, to get distracted from all of those other records. Yeah. So, the other thing was interesting just this weekend, because my power is out. I've been staying on and off with my in-laws, and my sister-in-law and I were looking at some of her DNA matches, and she got a couple of new ones, and they were very close, like first cousin was removed. But from the side of the family that they were coming from, it's a very small immediate family. And so she's like, well, how can I have cousins that I don't know on this family? And so she kind of went off on a tangent of, where did these people are coming from? And so we started looking at it, and come to realize, again, she had to go back and reevaluate and pull out information she already had, and from a great aunt. And when she's like, oh, my great aunt said that so-and-so had a daughter named this and a daughter named that, and those are the same first names that were popping up on her matches. And once we started looking into that, she was quickly able to figure out that, oh, these were actually from a line from her great uncle rather than an uncle. They were really probably her mother's first cousins. So and so
Gotcha.
yeah, so it was very
Yeah.
again, going back and looking at what information you already know, and then putting this new information in there, and then it just all fit. And then she was able
Yeah.
to find the birth certificate, the birth records, and then just fit those into the family very easily after that. So
Yeah.
again,
that's
but
a good
making
one.
assumptions or jumping to conclusions
Yes.
before you have really looked at that information. So
Yes.
it was very interesting.
Yeah. I think another rule or guideline, I guess I want to say, is that when you find documents or whatever, and you post them, and I am so grateful for people that do post things on, and I shouldn't say post, they upload things onto their trees in Ancestry or wherever. Those are going to be shared. And people are going to take them and attach them to
Copy
their tree,
them.
copy them, whatever. And we should be okay with that. We should definitely be okay with that.
Share and
This is
share
all up-
alike.
Right. But if it's something that you spent a lot of money on trying to get this record, you've spent weeks researching, you finally have this golden document. I mean, I almost feel like, I don't know that I'm willing to share that because I spent a lot of time. My time is worth something, and money. But if I do put something up there, or if it's a family photograph, I suggest putting a watermark on it.
Yes.
Put your watermark across it. It doesn't have to be like big and bold, but it just enough that
Right. If it's copied, someone else knows where it came from.
right, they know where it came from.
Because
if
a lot of
you wanna
times you
share.
don't know where those came from. How did that person get it? Is that even the right person? I have a photo up on Ancestry, and my tree's not public anymore, because I realized that even though I was always told that's who that picture is, when I look at that person as an older adult, they don't look alike. I don't think it's the same person as a young woman. And then someone else asked me, "Oh, is that so and so? Can I have a picture? Can I have that?" I'm like, "I'm not sure that's who that is." So, you don't know if the pictures that you're copying are actually that person.
Yeah, and I had a picture. I think this is way back in, how many years ago, when I did physical scrapbooking, and I had a picture of my great grandparents' farm, and I had cut it out in an oval, and matted it in the book, and that's the picture I put up on Ancestry of their farm, this oval picture. It's everywhere. Everybody's got my little oval picture.
Yeah.
And so I know it's mine,
Yes.
but I can't prove it's mine, that I am the originator. Because anytime that's shared, it comes up as somebody else just shared
somebody-
this. I'm like, well, you didn't, because it's in my scrapbook over here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, it's fine. I'm happy to share that picture.
Well, and again,
but
it's share and share alike. Reciprocate. If somebody wants to, if you wanted to take someone's, or not take someone's, but if you want to have a copy of that death certificate that they've uploaded, reach out to them and say, "Hey, is there any other documents that you need that I might have?" Things like that. That's what
share.
Ancestry is for, is creating that conversation and bringing those extended families together.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Or at least, if you did spend a fortune on a record from the UK or somewhere that you wanted a certified copy of, you could tell them this is where you can find it.
That's true. Exactly right.
Here
This is where I
and
got
it's
it. This
X amount of money.
It's true. That's very true as well.
I'm going to go back to your statement on your picture that you were not sure if that was the person.
Right.
I think marking something that you are unsure about as unsure is a really good
That's
thing
a great
to
idea.
do.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
If again, I'm just going to use Ancestry, because in Ancestry you have your persons up there, their names at the top, their birth, the death, and then right underneath it there's a little oval that has a little tag in it and a plus sign. If you click on that, it gives you all these options to put a tag in or a note right under there. And one of the first one is create a custom tag. So you could put in there, not sure who the parents are, or not sure about these parents. It's not only good for you as a refresher, like what you're working on that one. There's also a note section. You can go into the notes and do that. But for others that might see your tree, if it's public, and they can be like, oh, well, they've got parents listed here, but I also see that they're not really sure. And some of the built-in options are actively researching, brick wall. I have that, of course, on John Burke. It's brick wall.
Oh, yeah.
Hypothesis, unverified, verified. And one of their other choices is complete. It's never complete, is it? Why is that
Right?
even an option? I don't understand that one.
I know. That's like people saying, "Oh no, my genealogy, I'm done. I've done everything." Like,
Good
really?
for you.
Okay.
Good for you. Oh,
No, but that's great to mark. So so that other people know. Oh, you're not sure.
Yeah.
No, you're not sure of that. So
yeah. Yeah. And I wish other people would too. Like I put these parents in, like put a note over on it. Put these parents in, but I got it from another ancestry tree. I'm not positive this is the actual.
Right,
I have no
right.
documentation.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I'll create trees too that I'm just trying to. I don't want anybody else to look at or to use. I'm just trying to get Ancestry to pull some things that might help me. And so I keep those private. You can keep the trees private. You can keep them from even being searched too. So and under the privacy settings, that way you can just, if it's all wrong, nobody's going to copy it. Nobody's going to judge you. You're just, coming up with a hypothesis and seeing if it plays out or not.
Yes.
So, and when you go back to the golden rule of, start with what you know and work to what is unknown. Sometimes you do have to make that jump in a hypothetical way and say, okay, well, if these are the parents, I'm not sure that they are. Maybe I need to research this hypothetical couple to see if I can then find documents that will lead me back to the child. So, it's not hard and fast, but don't take off and go until you can really document it. But you might have to research. You might have to go down several, bunny trails before you get to the right one that's in your family. So you do need to eliminate people of the same names as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So what are the rules? The golden rule is start with yourself, work backwards, work from what is known to what is unknown. Don't assume.
Don't assume. Always document I feel like that's our number one though. Always document.
Well, you have that example of you found something.
I found years ago, I found a wedding announcement for the sister. Oh, so I've got John Burke. We all know John Burke, right? And his wife, Ellen Hill. It was her sister had a wedding announcement.
Right.
Full thing. I remember the description of the dress, and I was like, oh, this is so exciting. Maybe there'll be something about Ellen. Well, did I save it? No. Did I write down where I got it? No. This is back when I was a newbie. And I have never been able to find it. I don't know where I found it. I don't know. I don't know. I can't find it anywhere. Because I was hoping there might be something about John and Ellen's wedding, which, of course, there's nothing for them either. But yes, had I written it down, I would at least have had a newspaper or that documentation. Yeah, so, always document. Just remember when you add things up there, maybe put a watermark on it if it's precious to you.
Right.
That's just a loose rule not a hard and fast one. Mark items unsure.
Well, if you watermark it with your name, people are going to come back to you.
Yeah.
So you will end up attracting more family, and that could then lead you to obtaining copies of more documentation or, finding a brick wall, because if the person doesn't know who actually has that photo, they're never going to find you.
Yeah.
So,
But also only do that if you have the original.
Correct. Yes, it is in your possession.
Yeah.
Correct.
You have to have the original.
Yes.
Mark items unsure. And I think the very last thing is to make sure you pass your information on to a family member at some point in your life. So all this hard work you've done, and we love doing it, we enjoy it, and our whole family is probably going, whatever. But somebody somewhere should get it, because somebody down the line is going to appreciate the hard work that we've done.
Right. Yes. Which is it, right. Why it's important to write it up. I know a lot of genealogists, good genealogists, say, I can't write. I can't do the footnotes, so I'm not going to write it up. Write it up. If you can't do the footnotes,
don't do the footnotes.
Just
write it up,
or put it in print. Within at the end of the paragraph. This is where I got the information from, so they know.
But if you have a good program like Roots Magic or whatever, they will do the report with the citations on it. And everything
there'll be
too.
something there. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and there are other programs out there that you can upload the Word documents, and that will help you with the footnotes as well. But write it up, because I think even the people who aren't interested in genealogy, they don't want to see all your documents. They'd be interested in the narrative of their family.
Right.
So.
Right.
Well, speaking of cousins,
yes.
And speaking of ancestry, probably 7 or 8 years ago, one of my fourth cousin, specifically, my fourth cousin on my maternal side found me on Ancestry. And my grandfather was born in Germany, and we're cousins through my German grandfather's line. And so I was over in Bavaria last month on a trip, and my daughter and I, and we got to meet my fourth cousin. My daughter got to meet her fifth cousin, which is his daughter. And my daughter just laughed because when we walked into his home study, she saw dozens of binders full of genealogical documents on the shelves along one wall and a large pedigree chart on the opposite wall. And she said, "Yep, you two are related."
Great story. My first thought was, oh my God, Amy's going to spend all day here just photocopying all this stuff.
I know. It was hard not to.
But you have a resource now. If you're looking for
course,
something, he's your first go-to.
Sure. And he still has, work to do, and he still has archives to check out as well for his genealogical research. So, but he and his family and his wife, they were just so lovely. We spent a wonderful afternoon and evening together. And, it was all because of, we found each other on Ancestry.
That's
so
awesome
in 2 different countries. So, yeah, it was really good. So, but a good genealogist always documents their records. They've got their records, they've got their documents. Yep. And so he's following the golden rule too. So,
excellent.
Yep. So I hope we're been preaching to the choir today, but it's also a good reminder to stay focused on a research question always, and then always come back to what you know. Always come back to what you know. All right. Until next time.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening. Please email us with any questions or comments at genealogyhappyhour@gmail.com.
Visit our website, www.genealogyhappyhour.com, for additional resources, books, and wines. Don't forget to drink responsibly
and never drink around genealogical documents.